Hello and welcome to the Never Miss a Monday podcast. I am your host, Stacey Garcia, and I have someone so incredibly special to introduce you to. Her name is Jenny Goldfarb, and she is the founder and CEO of Unreal Deli, a nationally distributed plant-based food brand born in her home kitchen and scaled to thousands of retail and food service locations across North America. She is passionate about innovation in food and wellness and building brands that consumers love and trust. She is always open to meaningful collaboration and industry conversation, especially at the intersection of health, transparency, and better for you living. Welcome to the show, Jenny. I'm so happy to have you on.
And I'm so thrilled to be here, Stacey. Thank you.
Did you know that? So, our children went to the same school. My kids don't go there anymore. But when we started, you were the first parent that I met. Do you know that?
I do remember hearing that, like, you and your husband owned a gym. I remember a couple little details from kindergarten. They were together, right? So, yes.
They were. So they started, I believe, TK. And there was, and I remember it really well because my grandmother was either passing away or had just passed away. And I remember not feeling very social. And there was like an incoming TK like play date happening. And I walked in and you were the first person that I met and you made me feel so comfortable. And I was like, oh my goodness, if all of the parents are like Jenny, this is going to be such a great, such a great school. So I don't know if I ever shared that story with you.
No, and thank you for that.
Of course. So we're going to get right into the nitty-gritty. So you've built an amazing business that is not just changing what people eat, but how they think about food. For those who have not heard your story yet, how did Unreal Deli begin?
So, I started Unreal Deli literally barefoot and pregnant in my tiny home, Los Angeles kitchen. I was, I'm actually the great granddaughter of real New York City deli owners. And the love for good quality deli meats and all great sandwiches was just kind of latent in the bloodline. And then I was living in California with my husband, young babies, and I had like this one Facebook friend that started sharing videos of what was happening to these animals on these farms. And I was like, what's this? This can't be as bad as I imagine. Anyway, it's way worse than that. And it got me on a bit of a plant-based streak. For a while, it was like only that, and now it's like mostly that. But that's kind of been like it's changed my outlook on food, how often my children get sick, our sleep quality, a whole bunch of things for the better, and it made me just really want to embrace this lifestyle. And I've always, of course, loved my dog, and then I realized that cows are actually even sweeter than dogs because a dog would like rip an animal apart. A cow won't do such a thing. And chickens they're all such sweethearts. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of, hurting them. And so I tried to take them off the table, which was easier when the kids were younger. Now they have like, they're like young preteens and they're not totally going for that, but it is still mostly the way that we eat. But anyway, long story short, I was eating this way and I was wanting to come up with new recipes. And I have this love for classic deli fare. And I actually found a recipe in a recipe book for a cookbook for a corned beef that was made of beets, chickpeas, and tomatoes. And I made it, and it was like the most delicious thing I ever ate. And then I kind of plussed on it and played with it a bit. And then friends and family were like, Jenny, this is not a recipe. This is a business. And I said, please leave me alone. I have two children. I'm pregnant. I don't know anything about the food world. I don't have any money to put toward this or connections or like anything. And they were like, no, you can do this. And I have a bit of chutzpah, and my father was a longtime entrepreneur, and I was like, maybe I could do something. So I actually rented this tiny commercial kitchen out here in West Valley, LA, and for 25 bucks an hour, I started cooking it myself. I'd bring all my ingredients, my Vitamix blender, my big belly out to this kitchen. I'd be cooking, and then in the days I didn't do that, I'd try and sell it. And so I would cold call old school delis across Los Angeles, like
Wow.
Deli, where you can grab a sandwich today, and Arts and Factors, these old school delis like the ones that my great grandpa owned. And I would like cold call, and I figured out the right hour to call, and the right way to ask, and the kind of insurance I needed to get, and learning every single thing on the job, literally to this day. And we wind up, first it was just me and then the team grew, but wound up going from the delis into Whole Foods, onto Shark Tank, into today was about 3,000 doors. So it's become a national brand. And we're in like a lot of like sub counters, like there are 1,300 Publix grocery store delis that you can grab an Unreal Deli sub sandwich like at the counter live, but with a human for $6.99 today, and so many other very cool establishments like stadiums we've been in and sports events and what have you. So it's been an amazing ride. It's been a very hard and difficult. No one said it would be easy. At the beginning, it looked like really big, like fame and money. The plant-based industry was super taking off, and then it's been really scaling back for the last few years. So it's come to the brink of even putting us out of business at times. I mean, it's been like no one said it was going to be easy. But I have a really strong spiritual backbone from some time I lived in Jerusalem and studying of Kabbalah that I've done. And so I've been able to like weather the storm and keep a good headspace despite. But yeah, so that's kind of the story. We have four meats that are like out and about. We have a corned beef that makes like an amazing Reuben sandwich, a turkey, which just like a classic turkey sub sandwich. We have like a roast beef we call steak slices, and then our like prime, like the number one products that we have is our Unreal Bacon that came out a year and a half ago. So this Jewish girl brought forth like one of the world's best bacons, it turns out. And what makes all of our meats really special is that they're all made with a unique set of vegetables. So it's not like Frankenmeat. It's like a vegetable smoothie is like legit in each one. I mentioned the beets and chickpeas and the corned beef, but in our bacon, for instance, there's butternut squash and fava beans. So in every one, you're getting some like actual, vibrant, real food from the earth in each of these sandwiches. So that's what we do.
It's so amazing. It really is. And so I started my plant-based journey in my 20s when I was dancing a lot and I was doing it really for health. My mentors were vegan and that's kind of the route I went. And then I kind of went back to eating meat and then until I was pregnant with Ava. That was the last time I had any poultry was back with Ava. I craved like an In-N-Out burger once a week, and that was the only, so I called myself a burgertarian. Like that was what I ate once a week. I felt guilty every time because I'm the same. I love animals, and it didn't make sense to me as to why I could eat something that has it didn't make sense to me. Anyways, when I was pregnant, or I think Hayden was a newborn, someone gifted me a book and it was Alicia Silverstone's The Kind Diet. And I read it and it made so much sense. She pretty much was like, when you're eating, you should not feel guilt. Eating is a pleasurable experience. And at that time, Beyond Meat was out. I don't think Impossible yet, but there was ways of getting that burger fix without slaughtering an animal. That was the last time I touched any meat at all. And it was a really easy transition. And now I don't ever have guilt when I eat. And so I applaud you for bringing such an amazing company, honestly. It's so beautiful to see your products all over the place. And I do see them all over the place. And I was even asking Scott, our producer, before, I was like, I know you've tried her products because him and his partner are plant-based as well. And so I'm so in awe with you. Let's talk about the tough days because you have shared there were definitely some tough days. Um, what do you tell yourself on those tough days, the days when showing up just feels really hard?
Yeah, so I've learned a lot of like really interesting, great spiritual hacks to be able to deal with that. And so one of them is that when something is going fully wrong, that the best advice I've ever heard is to say, "Thank you, God, for my problems." Okay?
Mhm.
And because what that's doing is it kind of like puts you in the power seat. You're like, I don't know why I'm in this situation. Like I was actually thinking it, we had a tough time with your producer, Scott, trying to get the audio to work for this. And I'm sitting there 35 minutes rolled by before we started hitting record. And I'm like, thanks for whatever reason. I don't know why I'm in this situation, having to update my browser or whatever we tried to do there. And so in all of these moments, little and big, if you can actually like come around, and it's like a weird thing to do. It like takes a minute to like hit that beat. But if you can say like, thank you for this, what you're kind of communicating is, I don't know why I'm in this situation, but I know that there's somehow in
Hmm.
this way, there's some benefit that is somewhere. I don't know what it is now. So that's one thing that I do. Another thing that I've actually heard is that when you're actually hit with like a full-on problem, and I had to do this twice yesterday, is to, there's something wrong. Like everything that's happening is like what you're receiving and projecting. And so if something goes wrong, there's something that got like mixed up in the
Hmm.
projection. Okay. And so it means that like our own state needs to be kind of like reset. And just like we try to reset the computer, one way to reset our state is to literally dance. Okay. Is to like get up, physically get up and just do a little in your own room, whatever, because it changes your own vibration, your own chemistry. You've had this movement and you're able to like let things shake off much more. You can't do that in public, but like when things are coming down on you and you're in an opportunity to do that, it's extremely powerful.
We should have gotten up and danced. Why didn't we do that? I love that. I'm going to use that. I think that's so brilliant. And you mentioned what you learned from Kabbalah. So, in my 20s, when I went to Israel for my first time, I went on Birthright with my sister and we went to Svat. And that was the most magical place I'd ever been to. I started reading up on Kabbalah. And most recently, too, after my breast cancer diagnosis, I started kind of refreshing and getting in. And what my new mantra is, and it's so similar to yours, it's the same mindset is, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Which is so natural for us to go to, it's what is this trying to teach me? And that's kind of where my mindset is. So I'm right there with you, Jenny. So Never Miss a Monday is all about consistency, resilience, and keeping your promises to yourself. What does Never Miss a Monday mean to you in your world right now?
Never miss a Monday.
What do you never miss on a Monday?
Never miss a Monday is definitely like it's time to really kick it into gear. Although, frankly, I feel like I like to observe almost like an Israeli week. So, like when Shabbat ends, I'm like already like, I try and really hold by Shabbat, which frankly, I think is like the greatest gift for a Monday, Tuesday, any day, because
Yes.
the more that like you can sign on to that kind of unsigned signing off, more that you can sign on to signing off in terms of letting go of all the responsibilities and really immersing in like whatever peace and like fullness and friends and food and just like no responsibilities can mean to you on this day, Saturday, it allows so much more productivity I found during the week. And so, yeah, I mean, I do hang with my family on a Sunday, but I'll try and get 1 or 2 hours of work in on a Sunday, which already makes Mondays feel like, I wouldn't say a breeze, but lets me hit the ground running on that. Now that everything is so virtual, it used to be you'd stand on like an industrial room floor to get the work done, like
Mhm.
yoga pants on like a couch with my laptop at most. I mean, it doesn't get that crazy, right? So we have this opportunity to even hustle, but be in a relaxed state while doing so. So, yeah, never missing a Monday is like hit the ground running. But remembering who you really are, and that we're going back to this place in Shabbat within a handful of days, no matter what.
Okay, there's so much there, Jenny, that I'm obsessed with. So I've always celebrated the tradition of Shabbat dinner. So we always have Shabbat dinner at our home, but we've never done the full 24 hours unplugging, which I think, and I've always wanted to do it. And when I met my husband, we had a gym business and we worked Saturdays and was so against what I kind of wanted to do. But now that we don't have that business, and now it's like kids sports and whatnot. But like to be able to have the 24-hour of a reset every single week is one of the most brilliant things you can do for yourself. And the fact that you do that is so motivating to me, honestly. What else do you do to refill your cup so that you can keep pouring into your business and your family?
I take a 25-minute walk every day in Woodland Hills with my dog, and I will not bring my phone on that walk no matter what, no matter what's going on. I'll tell everyone, 25 minutes, be back at you, so there's no phone on me for that. Um, and then I really try every day to pick up my kids at like 2 and 3 o'clock. And might I take a meeting later? I might, but I really try and load my day of meetings, the first portion of the day, so that I can be with them. Of course, there's plenty of times like my kid will be building or doing a cartwheel, watch me, and I'm like, please to so and so, and I try to talk it and keep my eyes on, but it's a balancing act. We're all doing our best, but I try for that second portion of the day to be as much with my children as I can, and then besides that, have that walk. Yeah.
Beautiful. Those are beautiful. Who or what has been your biggest source of inspiration through your journey?
I mean, I have a team of some fully like extraordinary Kabbalistic type rabbis that are between New York, LA, and Jerusalem that I'm regularly listening and Miami that I'm regularly listening to. I started this past year. Whenever I'm in the car by myself, I'm only listening to like some kind of like Kabbalah, Torah, inner Torah type of lecture. So that's like a rule that I've put in place. The kids are in the car, we're listening to K-pop, Demon Hunters. But if I'm in the car by myself, uh, that's um, that's what I try and do to plug into inspiration and learning as like a default.
Would you like to share any with us? Are there any like podcasts or anything that you recommend?
Yeah, so I one guy that I follow, he's not even a rabbi, but he's like an incredible speaker, and he's a student of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. His name is Gedalia Fenster, Gedale, and then Fenster, and he's in South Florida, and he just kind of gives it to you like straight, and it's a little self-helpy, but there's like quite a bit of Kabbalah in there, and he interviews amazing people, and he's extremely well read across the spectrum, not only of like Jewish sources, but of all
Mm,
sorts of inspirational sources. So yeah, I recommend him for sure.
I love that. That's super neat. So your brand, the brand that you have built, Unreal Deli, is really rooted in legacy, in love, innovation. How was your community, both personally and professionally, how did they shape your story with Unreal Deli?
Wait? Can you repeat the question?
Yes, of course. So your brand is rooted in legacy
Okay,
from
yeah.
your great grandfather, love, innovation. How has your community, both personally and professionally, shaped Unreal Deli's story?
Yeah, so I was already kind of immersed within this plant-based world when I got started. So it was like extremely like supportive. And I guess the idea that you could kind of like modernize like an old school carcinogenic sandwich was very well received. And I think part of the reason that our bacon does so well is because even folks that aren't saying, I want to go vegan or I care about this, acknowledge that bacon is a very unhealthy food at the very least, right? Even if they don't
Right.
even care about helping an animal. And so I think there's like some legs for it just with that alone. But yeah, it was like it was well received amongst certainly like the vegan world. Now I have like in-laws, and they thought I was like a total lunatic for taking the whole family on this like vegan crusade. I should say hippie crusade is probably how they felt about it. I like to joke that for like years when I first went vegan, they were like questioning me, my mother-in-law, on every single vitamin and nutrient in the tofu and the pasta and the rice. And like, I never got asked the thing on the mac and cheese chicken nugget diet. Like, nobody had any questions then. But suddenly, I had to like answer every single nutritional component. So, yeah, I had to deal with a little bit of pushback. But on the whole, once I started bringing it out into the world and we were seeing sales and reorders, it was pretty clear I was onto something, and it was really well received.
Absolutely. That was reminding me of my big fat Greek wedding when I think she's like, no, no, grandma or aunt, whatever. He's a vegan. And she's like, oh, no problem. I'll serve lamb. It's just like, it's so funny. Let's talk about Shark Tank. I would love to hear your story and how Mark Cuban got involved with Unreal Deli.
Yes. So I was selling the local delis, and then my husband works in Hollywood, and he was like, "You should sell the movie studio lots, like the commissaries." I was like, "Okay, let's do it." So I started sending some cold emails. This was 2019 when this was like plant-based was like the hottest thing ever.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
emails today, they like mostly get ignored. But anyway, so said you'd like lift a finger and 10 people wanted to buy from you. So I had like I remember like a meeting at Netflix and the Fox Studio lot. They all took it on very quite quickly. And then it just felt like the next step, like when I would tell people, like, okay, we're here, we're there. So they were like, when are you playing for Shark Tank? You're a pretty girl. Get on the show already, right? So it was like, all right, let's do it. So there are two ways of getting on the show. You can either go like all day to like an in-person hotel and give your pitch in front of some human, I guess some associate producer or something, or you can do like a 30-second web inquiry. So I have no time for that. So I did the quick web inquiry, and I had on there one thing that I credit. By the way, Stacey, my gardeners just got here, so you might be hearing that.
That's okay. That's
Okay,
life.
is life. Okay, great. So meanwhile, I one thing that I credit like how I was able to like get from that web inquiry to like getting on the show, and I recommend this to like anyone that's interested in growing a business, even if not necessarily for Shark Tank, was I had a video that I worked on that I did with my husband and the link was like right there when you went to the homepage. And it was me going, "Hi, I'm Mrs. Goldfarb, and my roots to New York City deli go back over 100 years." And then I'm introducing the product, and then I'm out on the street. This is before COVID, and I'm giving samples to people, and they're loving it. And they're like, "That's not me. That's crazy, whatever." And so that video, I think, really kind of, when the producers saw that, they were like, "That's my segment. I don't have to even do any more homework," right? But I also think that kind of video is so beneficial if I'm just reaching out to get into a grocery store or a restaurant, or if anyone else has any other kind of business, you want a video like that. So anyway, I had that. Started meeting with the producers. There were like many interview processes, and then various kinds of applications, very stringent. They needed to know every little bit of detail about my whole background. Finally, I had a show date that I was taping. So the Sony studio lot here in LA, just went down at like 5 a.m, and they said, "Come with your hair and makeup done." I'm like, I can't even get a blow dry out of this. So, but I did get $250,000 from Mark Cuban. Anyway, I went out there like really feeling like I had the spirit of God in me. I literally said a lot of Kabbalistic chanty blessings, but I also knew my numbers by heart. I knew this guy who had gotten, he had his tape day before mine. I had met him at like the pre-show, whatever. There was a time I met some of the other entrepreneurs, and I said to him, "Can I find out? Can you tell me what happens?" So I called him, and he said to me, "You have a baby." I had a 3-month-old at the time, and two little young kids. He goes, "Have your kids fighting while your baby's crying and your husband's asking you financial questions. And if you can answer those, you'll be fine in the tank." So I feel like being a mother was the qualifier for everything in life. Okay, like there's nothing you can't if you've dealt with that, right? So anyway, and that's kind of what it was like. Like they're kind of barking at you questions. You're up on that tank floor for could be over an hour. I was on about an hour. They're asking, they only air like 5 of the best minutes, but it went incredibly well, and walked out with. I was only asking for $100,000, and I got 250,000. So that's also a little bit unheard of. Mark wound up making another investment like a year and a half later. So yeah, that's a little bit of that story, but it was
And the rest is history. That's amazing. It's such a great story. I know we both have to wrap up soon because we have to both pick up our kiddos. But before we go, I want to do a quick rapid fire round, which is super fun with you. So, Jenny, give me a morning routine must have.
uh, morning blessings, half a grapefruit, hugging each of my children. Is that good?
Those are all great. Those are beautiful. Go to comfort food besides Unreal Deli, of course.
Comfort food. I like to snack out. So I'm like trying to get, sweets in when I can. I don't think it's healthy for me. I don't do it if my immune system's low, but like, yeah. I mean, my kids came home with like Reese's on Halloween, and I've had more than a couple of those. So
You like the sweets. What's one word to describe your mindset right now?
expansive.
Yes. Favorite inspirational quote or mantra?
Only because I just said this earlier today. I was asked my favorite marriage quote. My favorite marriage quote is go to sleep angry. The things that matter at 11 p.m. do not matter at 7 a.m.
So true. That's a great one. I love that. Favorite, actually, what song instantly boosts your mood?
It used to be Doctor My Eyes by what's his name? Jackson Brown. Doctor My Eyes have seen the years. It's an oldie. I'm like an oldie kid.
I
This
love it. I am too.
I have to keep up the oldie routines. Anyway.
That's amazing. Coffee, tea, or smoothie?
I recently got off caffeine about a year ago. I learned that it's a leech for magnesium. Sorry to break it to you. Anyway, I'm off that. So I'd go for like a matcha, to be honest, but I'm down for a smoothie as long as it's not like $19.
Love it. Favorite way to unwind after a long day?
I smoke a joint would be my favorite way, but a glass of wine is a possibility. A good show on HBO Max. I don't know. Any of those things could work.
Love it. What's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
The joint.
I think so. I think that's it. A book or podcast that's changed your perspective recently?
Um, I'll give it up to this book, The Book of Divine Oneness by Abraham Sutton. This is like heavy duty Kabbalah. It's amazing. And a book or podcast, so we're good. And I gave the podcast before. Look
You
it
sure
up.
did. Amazing. Last one.
Yes.
What does success mean to you in one word?
Um, Abundance.
Yes. Love
Yeah.
it. Love
Yeah.
it. Love it. I so appreciate you, your time, your energy. It was such a wonderful conversation. Jenny, we made it happen.
So glad this it happened in this scenario. And finally, how fun. I'm so
So
proud
much
of
fun.
you in this show.
Thank you, my love. It was such a pleasure.
Just now, just starting a like a TikTok finally, and I'm gonna be putting up videos and like business and life advice at a Real Mama Shark. That's my
Love
handle.
it. Yes. Tell me where everyone can find you.
That's it, Real Mama Shark on TikTok.
Fantastic. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Jenny.
Thank you. Bye, Stacey.
Bye.